Well, hello, welcome to the Pundit Arena NatWest Six Nations review show after round 5 and another round of thrills and spills, plenty to get our teeth into. Delighted to be joined by Tom May as always. Tom, let's start with Ireland-Scotland, the first game of the weekend. Ireland on song, doing the business. Many wondered whether they'd be able to keep it up against Scotland and whether we'd have a real decider at Twickenham, but it's going to be about England denying them the Grand Slam after what was a great performance and a few stand-up performers.
Yeah, obviously Stockdale again was fantastic for the Irish, and they did what they needed to do, didn't they? They played well at times. I think there's still work-ons for them, but for them to be in the position they're in, having won the championship already, with stuff still to go back to the drawing board with, is a fantastic place.
Yeah.
I think the way they're starting to play, there's more and more, even though they've lost players in the centre. Ringrose came in and played brilliantly, I thought.
Yeah.
Probably could have scored that try that actually passed to Stockdale, but I think they've got players now that they can call upon, whether they be the main test starters or perhaps second or third choice, and they can rely on them. It's an exciting time for Ireland, but they now have to come to Twickenham to see if England can change their fortunes.
Yeah, in terms of Scotland's performance, they had plenty of opportunities to have put down one or two tries that would have kept them closer in it at the beginning. I think there's a fresh butcher's shop has opened up in Dublin, given the amount of opportunities that went by the by. Peter Horne, Hugh Jones. I mean, these forced long passes. Just explain sort of how you saw that.
Yeah, Look, if you look back 2 weeks ago to when they played England at Murrayfield and everything stuck, they had an opportunity, they scored. Well, they had several opportunities over in Dublin, and they rightly you say, butchered them. There seems to be some sort of fixation with long passing, when actually you can play a wide, expansive game, even with short passes. You can attack the line well.
You've got Peter Horne and then Hugh Jones next to him, and then he wallops the ball right to the outside. It's a loose pass.
A missed passes allow defenders to move off and shift onto the end anyway. But B, if you're going to lob them and you've got someone like Stockdale loitering, then he's good. He's proved that he can read the game well. So you're opening yourself up to that. So there was some pretty poor skills. There was a simple 2-on-1, wasn't there? Jones with Hogg. That was horrendous.
Yeah, ball needed to go.
And there were those simple things, and you just wonder whether they got one or two of those right.
Yeah.
Then maybe they would have given themselves more of a chance.
Yeah, it could have been a slightly different game if Ireland had more pressure on them. World rankings, we know after the weekend's result that Ireland moved to second in the world. Are they a side that you think in the world game, after what we've seen over the last few weeks, are worthy of that accolade? I mean, obviously the stats say that they are, but emotionally, do you feel they are?
Tables never lie, do
exactly.
They? So that they are worthy of that position. And right now, you'd have to say, with the way that, or the troubles that England have had over the past 2 or 3 weeks, they deserve to slot up into that position. So it's going to be really interesting this weekend at Twickenham. I think it's the sort of thing where you can see England toppling Ireland and saying, well, what was the last couple of performances about? Which I think that would be even more frustrating from Eddie Jones's point of view than, of course, he'll want that to happen.
Yeah.
But even more frustrating.
He won't be frustrated if they thump Ireland at Twickenham.
No, but it'll annoy him the fact that
it wasn't there the previous.
Yeah, the previous 2 weeks it hasn't happened. So. Look, it's just going to be an exciting game, but Ireland have won the championship, and deservedly so.
Yeah, they certainly have. And Tom mentions England's troubles. Well, England came across a few troubles in Paris. France doing the job on them. Mathieu Bastareaud in fantastic form. The French finding a way to do it. It might not have the most flow and structure at times, but they still get themselves there. And that man, Lionel Boxey's having a wonderful moment at the end. Tell us your thoughts as you watched it, Tom.
My jaw nearly hit the floor. I couldn't believe the opportunity he presented England, especially with how close the scoreline was, with the opportunities that Farrell created by hitting those pinpoint kicks to the corner.
Yeah.
Oxys, what were you doing?
Yeah.
If ever a 10 could be subbed with 20 seconds to go, that's probably it.
Having only got on a minute before.
Yeah. I thought Bastareaud was fantastic again. He played brilliantly against Italy the week before. His ability to get in over the ball is almost second to none.
Well, I was watching the game in France, and actually my pidgin French was picking up the French commentators saying, Bastareaud, he's been magnifique in his role all tournament under Jacques Brunel, and interesting that was the way they were choosing to spin it. Not that he was doing anything extraordinary, but the way that Brunel was choosing to use him as that fulcrum to either then take the ball in and have players play off him is exactly what's been allowing France to tick.
Look, from an attacking standpoint, he's quite similar to Bentia in that he gets his team over the gain line, he gets them on the front foot, and he drags people with him. Defensively, they both clearly make big hits, but Bastro's ability to get in over the ball and act as another back rower, is a fantastic asset for France to have.
Yeah.
Something that Brunel will clearly like to use, bear in mind how the form that he finds him in.
And decent enough from Tranduc as well?
Yeah, I thought Tranduc had a good enough game. I think they have to find a 10 that they can rely on and pick week in, week out, and I think Jalabert's that man. He's obviously injured, but when they have the opportunity, I think they'll probably lean towards him. But I think the French, you could see their reactions at the end. There's been a lot of pressure on them from their supporters and fans, and massive relief for them to turn England over.
Yeah. So England then, the post-mortem.
Are we doing that bit? Are we?
Well, yeah. I think so. I think we're going to have to. George Ford is really under the microscope. He was, Shepherd's crook came on for him again. Eddie Jones might argue that that's always what he's planning to do at that stage of the game, move Farrell in. But with everything that Owen Farrell's done, a world-class European 10, winning all those titles, I think a lot of people are now calling for him to be England's 10 and to set up more of a traditional midfield where you've got bigger lumps, or at least a Teo at 12, and then more of a runner, a la Jeremy Guscott many years ago, but that 13 in the form of Jonathan Joseph as well. How do you see the decisions that Eddie Jones has to make?
I think the problems that Eddie Jones has had before has perhaps come from the fact that he doesn't quite think that there's enough centres to test standard. So he's had to then rely on that axis, which at times has performed brilliantly for England.
Yeah.
It gives them a lot of focus. It's the fulcrum of their attack, but it hasn't functioned as well over the past 2-3 weeks. And now it's almost made them blunt an attack.
Yeah.
I thought when Eddie Jones shifted Farrell to 10, Joseph came on, he looked sharp. And I mentioned in my article in Pundit Arena last week that it's frustrating that Joseph has to have a boot up the backside to perform like that.
Yeah.
Now you could argue that, it's coming on at the end of the game, so there's more space so he can get into the game. Well, that might be the case, but he looked sharper to me when he's had a bit of a disappointment from a selection point of view. But I like having two ball players, and I don't think you can have out-and-out runners all the time.
Yeah.
You need to have someone that can step up into that. And that's perhaps something that Elliot Daly can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Not necessarily from centre.
Yeah.
But I think he can fulfil that role by getting on his bike, from the wing and getting into those positions, and perhaps helping his team play.
And he wouldn't have been in that role for a little while, so maybe it is familiarising himself with being in that wing position and what he was doing so well in the previous 18 months.
Yeah, well, if you look at the amount of contributions that he makes and Jack Noel make, that stands them above the rest in terms of their contributions through the game, and that's what Eddie Jones looks for.
Yeah.
But we have to look at the breakdown,
yeah.
And the breakdown actually comes off the back of that attack. If that attack can get you on the front foot, can get you through arms as opposed to getting straight into sort of solid contact, that's what allows Bastero to get over the ball. If you go outside him and past him, it's much harder for him to get in on the ball like that.
Well, and England have lost Courtney Lawes, they've lost Nathan Hughes now leading up to the Ireland game. Don Armand finally named in the squad. Of course, he got his first cap in that first test against Argentina last summer. 8 minutes at the end of the first test there. Whether he'll be in the inclusion towards the end of the week, who knows? But he's certainly he satisfied a few by the fact that everyone knows that Eddie Jones is having a look at him again. I heard Ian Robertson on the BBC talking about Courtney Lawes being 6'7". He's not going to get down as easily and get over the ball in terms of a breakdown situation. You don't see him do that very often. Do we need to be looking at more of these Sam Simmons, these guys who are a little bit shorter, a little bit lower centre of gravity, can get over the ball and cause more problems in that back row?
Well, I think needs must. And at the moment, there's a lot of injuries in that back row, and it's not performing to the way it needs to.
Yeah.
I think still at the weekend it looked a bit sluggish.
Yeah.
And Simmons can certainly, bring something to the table from that perspective. But again, it's all about the attack. That attacking mindset. You can't just say, right, let's attack, let's play heads-up rugby. That'll get us through.
Yeah.
You need to have a system and a structure that players can put their skills into, and it seems to me at the moment that actually England's attack needs more work than probably other areas.
Yeah, although discipline is still causing a big
that
problem.
is an area as well.
Interesting tweet by my colleague Ben Coles, who was saying that since England went 6 points up against Wales, they've been going backwards, and the discipline count has been rising every game. 16 penalties conceded. It's just not acceptable to try and win Test matches, is it?
Well, no, and you know, any professional rugby side tries to keep those figures under double figures.
Yeah.
So 16 is horrendous.
Yeah.
And then, you know, really some of the penalties that they were giving away were well within kicking range. And you know, if you're going to have to give points away, make sure you're doing it in the areas where it's not so dangerous to yourselves.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, there will be plenty of focus, no doubt, on England over the course of the week with Eddie Jones, with 32 players into that squad. It's going to be a hell of a build-up to the big one on Saturday. Sunday then saw Wales taking on Italy in Cardiff. There was the curtain raise of the women's game before, where they lost out to Italy. A word actually on the women's competition. I was in France, France turning over England in the last minute with Jessie Tremouliau's try. If you've not seen it, dig out the Women's Six Nations highlights that were on BBC Two last night. It's well worth a watch. 17,500 people in there, a record crowd. You had a little watch of it on Saturday night, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good. Really great game. There's some big hits flying.
Yeah, there were indeed. But following that women's game at the Principality Stadium, then Wales took on Italy. George North bagging a couple of tries. Wales looking pretty good. Liam Williams losing his head. Warren Gatland hanging him out to dry afterwards, saying, you know, that late hit was enough for him to, you know, he wanted to take him off the field and had no interest in putting him back on after he got that yellow card. I mean, I actually think that the commentary team on the BBC perhaps missed the fact that challenge went in after the whistle. They're looking at all the replays as to where he made the contact, and I think actually they possibly should have played it at normal speed with the whistle, and there might have been a different decision as to whether, you know, well, certainly it was going to be a yellow card. There were a few people wondering whether it might have been red as to whether the shot was to the head. But a good debut for James Davis. Thoughts on the action?
Yeah, I mean he got straight into the action. He made a turnover which would have settled his nerves brilliantly. He's a good player, and you know I've loved watching him for the Scarlets, and certainly during the Olympics he was fantastic. But they're in a good position, aren't they, Wales, with their back rows at the moment? You know, they've got Shingler, Navidi. Yeah. You know, the guys that came in at the weekend. Yeah.
There's no room for a Thomas Young, and
no.
He's been on great form.
You know, at the moment, Sam Warburton's working in the media, so
yeah.
You know they've got guys.
Crack on, Sam.
They've got guys that they can call upon, and when they're all back fit, they're going to be in a good position, especially in that back row. But you know, I think. This weekend,
Lydia as well, to name another one that's out of the picture currently.
You know, they need to keep trying to develop the game that they've brought to the fore. You know, they've gone away from the sort of power game, and that's right. You know, you need to have more to your game now than just smashing the ball up. And you know, I think they're starting to sort of reap the rewards of the time that they've had using that game plan within Test match rugby.
So Italy doing pretty well. I mean, we keep mentioning Minuzzi every week. Again, he starred. I mean, I thought he was brilliant. He made a try-saving tackle. He managed to get a try of his own.
He got smacked in the chops. Tiny little fellow.
He did well.
He did, yeah. Biggest hit I've ever seen on a 10 from Faletau. That was sensational. I did quite like the wink that he gave.
Yeah, it was very nice.
That was good. But they're moving in the right direction, aren't they?
Yeah, but then similar moment, you know, they have that penalty that they kick to the corner. They then have the line out, and the line out doesn't work. They don't get that right. And I watched Sergio Parisse at that moment when it went back to Wales. They cleared the lines, and Parisse just stood there like a bloke at a bus queue, just watched the ball go out. Yeah, that's what we're capable of doing.
That's the frustration, I think, from probably Parisse's point of view over a number of years, but probably that Conor O'Shea's starting to feel now is the inconsistencies. They'll do some brilliant stuff. Yeah. You know, and some of the players they've got through coming through are brilliant, but every now and again they just let themselves down. That'll come over time.
Yeah, so I wanted to, perhaps as we lead into the final week, find out your work-ons for each of the teams ahead of the final round, starting with Ireland.
I think that needs to be mental strength. Coming over to Twickenham to win a Grand Slam.
They've got it all going on, haven't they? They've got to believe in that.
Yeah, St Patrick's weekend, Grand Slam, it's the English away. Yeah. Tough up top.
Scotland?
Passing.
Yeah, good. I thought that might be the wake-up for them. Yeah, good. France?
France, I have gone for pressure.
Yeah,
they need to be able to deal with the pressure. The French fans, after having won 2 games now, they'll be back believing that France should be and can be beating everyone. So with that comes pressure.
Yeah. For England, I imagine a few less penalties.
Yeah, discipline is a big issue, and that needs to be the focus for this week.
Good. Wales?
Selection, I think, going into this week. You know, they've had a few guys come in and put their hand up, brilliant performances. But which is the starting 15 that Gatland's going to choose to take this game plan forward?
Yeah. What is, how does he redefine or refine, the game plan, and who's going to be part of that? And for Italy?
Just focus on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just get the tournament out of the way.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But perhaps maybe they need to trust in what they're doing, because at times they're sort of losing the accuracy of what they're trying to do, and I imagine Conor O'Shea's going, trust in what I'm trying to get you to do.
They're moving along in the right direction. It must be, it's very irritating and annoying to sort of almost feel like, this isn't going to be another one, but they'll have their. If Scotland can't catch or pass like they did at the weekend, then maybe there's a danger.
They may have fun. It's a big week for you and a few other England and Irish legends. Friday night at the Stoop, we're streaming it live and exclusive here on Pundit Arena. Of course, if you're in London, get yourself a ticket in conjunction with Restart Rugby as well. But the Legends game to kick off the weekend on Friday night. How are the bones?
Bones are all right. I had my feet up this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I played in the one last year at the RDS in Dublin, and that was a fantastic game.
Who can we look forward to seeing?
Well, as long as the Irish managed to keep 15 players on the field, they ended up with 18 last year, and we actually missed it.
That's a good tactic.
Yeah, it was Shane Burns' idea, that, I think. I'll be watching him.
Yeah.
/ trying to pull his hair.
Yeah, good. But Mollet.
Yeah, there's some great players coming back to play. I think Jason's having a trot out.
Oh, good Jason Leonard, good, fun bus.
Ian Balshaw's over,
okay.
Mark Cueto's playing. The Irish have got all sorts out up their sleeve, no doubt.
Yeah.
And some great guys coming over. And my old teammate Jimmy Downey's playing.
Good. So what we're also hoping to do is slip a microphone onto Tom so that we can hear him huffing and puffing through bits of the game. So do make sure you join us for that one. Friday night kickoff is 7:45, and you can watch all the action here on Pundit Arena. Tom, thanks very much for your thoughts on the weekend's action. It's another big week. We'll be back with another preview show ahead of the last round at the end of the week.